Just as we thought we received news of what is going to happen to the principals involved in the illegal advanced scouting sign stealing scheme orchestrated by one Conor Stalions. And we got some of what we wanted, and we got some of what we didn't. And I think everybody got the one thing that we're all after. What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. If this is your first time watching Adapt and Respond, thank you for joining us here. We talk college football year round. If you're into that, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, like this video, and answer the question in the comments below. Do you think the punishment for Michigan is appropriate, given all that has transpired and how long this investigation took? We are almost a complete year from the Conor Stalions Netflix documentary to find out what the NCAA had planned to level as punishment at Michigan and the principals involved in his advanced scouting scheme. For those of y'all, For those of y'all that are living underneath that particular rock, I will remind you, Conor Stalions orchestrated a scheme that led to he and or others going to at least 30 different opposing team stadiums to video record their signs, get them back to his home, break them down one by one, put them into a binder, and then call out what play was being run by the opponent when the time came. And this went on for a couple of years, right? They got caught in October of 2023. The Big Ten members were upset. Tony Petitti leveled a suspension to Jim Harbaugh. It was 3 games. And Michigan continued to just win. They won the national championship. They beat Ohio State. They went 15-0. Last year, Ohio State won the national championship, but failed to beat Michigan. And now we're here where during that entire season, all anybody wanted to know was what's going to happen at the University of Michigan. Jim Harbaugh had moved on. Conor Stalions had resigned, and Sherrone Moore had since been promoted to head coach. So let's start with him. The NCAA levies a 2-year show cause and a 3-game suspension at Sherrone Moore. Michigan fans will be quick to tell you that 2 of those games are self-imposed suspension, and he is going to be suspended for the first game of the 2026 season, but that is not the game that is against Oklahoma, which is the first real opponent that Michigan is going to face, and that kind of feels bad on our skin because it doesn't feel like that one really is going to take the kind of punishment or effect we would like. Other penalties that Michigan is going to get: 4 years of NCAA probation, a $50,000 fine plus 10% of the football team's budget, fine equivalent to the loss of 2, postseason, postseason bonuses and money. The fine is also going to be the equivalent of 10% of all their football scholarships, 25% reduction in football official visits, and 14 weeks of prohibition, not probation, 14-week prohibition on recruiting communications. They've also given a 3-year show cause to Denard Robinson, who until last year was the last guy to be featured on an NCAA football jewel box. They've given an 8-year show cause to Jim Harbaugh for his role in sanctioning. No, 8-year show cause for Conor Stalions, 10-year show cause for Jim Harbaugh. So 2 years for Sherrone Moore, 8 years for Conor Stalions, 10 years for Jim Harbaugh, 3 years for Denard Robinson. The one that feels like it's really going to stick here is the one for Conor Stalions, whom I would assume really, really, really wants to coach college football. The show cause is going to make that incredibly difficult because you have to show cause as a university for why you need to make this hire. And that is almost an impossible, burden to respond. Like it's difficult to say this is the guy you need to have in this position when there are other qualified candidates out there. And to do that for nearly a decade is going to set him back. But hey, maybe he can make like Rooster and miss out on going to the Naval Academy. Oops, no, he went to the Naval Academy. Remember? I remember because this is kind of funny to me that we have taken a man who has graduated from one of the most prestigious universities we have in this country, who is an expert in taking your codes and breaking them, deciphering them, and we turn him into some sort of either cautionary tale or bad actor. And he has reveled in both. I'm not sure what to do with that. I say this as a man who has two parents that served in the armed forces, both Air Force. One is an enlisted man who takes no guff off of nobody and decided one thing was going to be true. His children are going to be hard. The other one is an officer, captain, who gave birth to me on Tinker, which is an Air Force base in Oklahoma City. I knew what a gig line was before I knew what the line of scrimmage was. You gig, you know what I'm saying? So when I talk to them about these things, they're saying two things. He is working on behalf of his program, his team. That is his government, University of Michigan. And you know that his family bleeds University of Michigan blue and gold. On the other hand, there's a sense of fair play in sports that was at best made gray, and it should never have been. This is my dad who's going, RJ, you know the difference between right and wrong. You know when you are breaking the rules, and you know when you are finding a loophole. There was no loophole here, as you've explained this to me. This is my dad as I talked to him through what's going on in Michigan, because you told me there was a rule in place here, right? There's an NCAA bylaw. Say, yeah, Pop, there's an NCAA bylaw that prevents you from advanced scouting your opponent using electronic devices. He says, did he use electronic devices? Yeah, he basically said just that. And we have evidence to prove that they went to other people's places and they put video on them, and he brought it home and he broke it down. He says, sounds like it broke the rules to me. And if you broke the rules, that's not what we teach. You know, that's not what we teach in sports. And let's not compare sports to war ever. Even though, and this is the part that makes this even more interesting to me, football was created to simulate trench warfare. Football was created to make hard boys into, or soft boys into hard men. Okay. When Walter Camp came up with this thing, it was, we're going to put an offense and a defensive line together. And we're going to make them smash into each other and make them simulate combat in the way that we were fighting in those days. So much so that Walter Camp hated the idea and the invention of the forward pass and tried to do everything in his power to get it legislated out of the sport that he created, because he thought it would undermine what it was there to do, which is to make you be physical at the point of attack. Turns out it was too physical at the point of attack. Turns out people started dying. Turns out Teddy Roosevelt needed to create this thing called the NCAA because men were dying playing college football. And a dude who is as hard as they come, perhaps the hardest president that has ever presidented in the United States, said, nah. Even me, a veteran of the Spanish Civil War, and my Rough Riders, we can't have this. NCAA, put the kibosh on this. So we have all that inside of Conor Stalions. We have all of that and how we are trying to assess just what is going on at the University of Michigan and what the NCAA has chosen to do about it. So one more time before we get out of here, so everybody has it on the same page. Here's what the NCAA has levied at the University of Michigan: 4 years of probation, financial penalties of $50,000 plus 10% of the budget for the football program, which is fine equivalent to the anticipated loss of all postseason competition seasons, 25% reduction in football official visits during 2025-2026, a 14-week prohibition on recruiting communications in the football program during the probation period. Conor Stalions gets an 8-year show cause order restricting him from all athletically related activities during the show cause period, right? Jim Harbaugh gets a 10-year show cause order August 7, 2028, at the conclusion of that 4-year show cause order from a previous case, right? Denard Robinson gets a 3-year show cause order, and Sherrone Moore gets a 2-year show cause, during which, and this is kind of interesting and I think important, he is suspended. One second. Yep. Make sure I read this correctly. During which he is suspended from a total of 3 games. Michigan self-imposed a 2-game suspension For Moore, during the upcoming 2025-26 football season, the panel determined that a suspension for one additional game was appropriate. Therefore, Moore will be suspended for the first game of the 2026-2027 season. Apart from the 3-game suspension, Moore is prohibited from engaging in coaching or other athletically related activities during the show cause period. So, we shall see how this ends for Sherrone Moore, but it doesn't sound like much is going to happen here.